Hello friends, family, total strangers. Today's video is going to be a little different. My friend Megan here is going to interview me for the channel. So Megan is a homeowner. She runs a nonprofit here in Jackson, Wyoming. And anything else you want to let people know about yourself?
No, I'm really excited to have you here. We've missed you while you've been out traveling, and it's fun to have you back. I've known you. I was trying to figure this out. 19 years, is that?
Since 2000. We
Yeah,
met in 2000.
I did the math right.
You
All
did
right.
it well. Okay, let's kick it off.
Okay, I've got some questions for you. They're in random order.
And I have no prep for these, by the way.
No, these are all surprise. So you may have said this on your channel already, but I'd love to hear it. What prompted you to give van life a try? Was it something you'd thought of, or was there a defining moment?
I had I was working at a liquor store, and I had just changed jobs, so I had been at Signal Mountain Lodge for years, and yeah, I was working in a liquor store, and all of a sudden I no longer had this big chunk of vacation that I used to have, and I could only get like a week off at a time, and it really bummed me out because I love to travel. So I started thinking of other ways just to get to more time to travel, and my initial idea was to live in Thailand and possibly, or just part-time or full-time or whatever. But researching living over there in the winter and Jackson in the summer, I stumbled upon van life, and then I ended up just deciding that I would just go full on for van life. Our tripod is slowly melting
Slipping
away. So professional. I am so professional. Okay,
Thanks.
and that's my answer.
Okay, that's good. So did you piggyback into that? Did you do some research on it, or did you just jump right in once you made that decision?
I definitely did research on it. I did a lot of research on what type of van I would like to do, and various other things, mostly through YouTube. But yeah, so I definitely did research. But I was pretty much as soon as like it became aware to me that this was a thing, it was like, this is what I am going to be doing.
You knew it.
I knew it, yeah.
In your heart.
Yep.
Okay. What'd your family think about your decision?
My mom was definitely very worried at first, as moms tend to be. You know, my dad is pretty laid back, so he's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, my mom was worried.
Did you
My
announce
brothers,
it to them, or?
nobody really is surprised by the things I mean, I'm a
Right.
world traveler. I do, yeah. So nobody was really surprised, but my mom was definitely worried.
Okay, that's good. That's mom should. Tell us something we don't know about you, like a passion or a skill or an experience or something you haven't shared previously.
On the channel or with you personally?
On the channel.
On the channel, okay.
Well, or with me too.
Well, I am kind of obsessed with movies. I was for a long time, especially like all sorts of movies, especially bad action movies and kung fu movies. Yeah, and I'm not quite as gung-ho about it as I used to be, but I'm still into movies. I enjoy movies a lot.
There's less room for your collection in the van.
Yes, exactly. I don't have room for 500 VHS cassettes, which I used to have.
I remember that. What's something you've learned about yourself during your van life adventures?
Something I've learned about myself. That is a good question. I guess I haven't. I knew I didn't need that much to be happy, but I realize how little I really need to be happy. You know what I mean? Like, experience.
Like material-wise, or?
Yeah, just experience is so much more valuable to me than having stuff. And
We may need to get our tech crew to get a board or something.
no, it just needed to be more up right there. I think we're good now.
Okay.
yeah, I'm even to the point where I'm considering the idea when my Transit Connect dies of just living out of a backpack for a while.
Oh, didn't know
So
that. New developments.
yeah, hiking, just do some long trails for a while, and then travel over the overseas out of a backpack. Yeah, so that's something I'm actually considering. I don't know
Wow.
how long it would last,
Going
but
with even less.
would even less just living out of a backpack for a couple of years and
That's
see how it
impressive.
goes.
Wow. You'll have to keep us tuned in. What has been your most interesting wildlife encounter during the van life travels?
During the van life travels,
And you do a lot of hikes.
yeah, I do a lot of hikes. That was probably the grizzly bear in our camp last year. Me and Jax. No growling, buddy.
Right
that
on
was
cue.
that was me and Jax. A grizzly bear came into our camp up at Brooks Lake, and I was playing my banjo.
He's remembering.
He's remembering. I was playing my banjo, and Jax just started barking crazily at something, and I put down my banjo to see what it was, and there was a bear like 15 feet from the van.
Oh, wow.
A grizzly bear, full size. So I ended up throwing Jax in the van. He came when I called him and threw him in the van, and I had bear spray in one hand while I was throwing all my camp stuff in the van
Oh,
with
wow.
the other, and got out of there, and it just kind of wandered off. But Jax's ears were pinned to the side of his head for about 2 hours afterwards.
Oh, I bet. That's scary. And you were by yourself.
By myself.
Wow. What's your most interesting human encounter?
Most interesting human encounter.
Interesting or scary or funny?
I've never had any scary encounters so far.
That's good.
No scary encounters. I've definitely had, people come up and want to look at the van. Yeah, I haven't really had anything that stands out. I don't spend a lot of time in cities. I'm almost always, back in the woods, and I do interact with people some, but I'm not like,
Super social?
I don't end up having that many interactions with people. I do have occasionally like people who just don't know better kind of pull into my campsite and want to share it with me. Sort of
kinda
thing.
weird.
Especially if you're allowed, like, it's happened to me twice, and when I was in like, there's other spots around, but this is by far the best spot, and somebody just kind of pulls in and says, "You mind if I camp here?"
And what do you say?
Both times I said yes. The first time it was this family from Kansas, and they kind of realized after about 30 minutes that it was kind of weird, so they moved.
Good. Good.
And then the other guy was nice enough, and we ended up chatting, and he gave me a couple beers, and it was fine. And
Nice.
so, yeah.
It is strange.
So, I mean, I'm pretty easygoing, but just in general, don't do that.
Get your own spot.
Yeah,
can
I
come
mean,
visit.
own spot and come visit. If I have got the best spot, just recognize that I've got the best spot,
Yeah.
and
You were lucky.
don't try to move in and poach it.
That's funny. It's nervy. Let's see. What's your favorite? Of course, I have to talk about food.
Okay.
What's your favorite dinner to make in the van?
My favorite dinner to make.
Not the easiest, quickest, but when you're pulling out the stops, you've got a good spot.
Let's see.
I know you do a lot of Mexican.
I do a lot of Mexican, and so I do like going to the nines with it. Like cooking the beans, making a fresh salsa. Of course, I eat a disturbing amount of avocado. Anybody who watches the channel knows that. And I did one with plantains the other day, which was awesome.
Ooh.
I fried up some plantains, and
Nice.
that was delicious. Yeah, I really like making just a great medium rare burger with like a grass-fed beef.
Nice.
Like I don't get expensive beef very often, but when I do, it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
So a nice big burger with all the toppings, bacon, and
Nice.
maybe
Avocado.
even avocado, maybe even an egg, maybe even a fried
Ooh,
egg on top. Yeah.
Nice. What's your quick one? It's raining. You're tired. You don't want to deal, but you're hungry.
Gnocchi and pesto is really easy.
Ooh, we do that camping.
Gnocchi and pesto is a quick, easy thing. Or if I can do a quesadilla real quick, things I can cook in the van. I have my Road Pro oven. I can do like beans and rice
That's impressive.
in the van while it's raining. So
Oh, nice. Good. I'm hungry. What's your favorite piece of gear? Like, do you have some special piece of gear that like this makes a difference in my life? Something you wouldn't want to be without.
I mean, probably the Aquabot. Probably the Aquabot, which is a pressurized Nalgene bottle. I've had it on the channel before. I will say you can more or less accomplish the same things with a spray bottle, with like a dollar store spray bottle, but you can use it upside down. It's pressurized, so you don't have.
I don't know what an
It doesn't
Aquabot is.
leak. So you screw it onto the top of a Nalgene bottle, a standard Nalgene, and then you pressurize the bottle, and then it sprays, and you can adjust the spray from a beam to a mist. And I use it for washing dishes. I use it for taking a shower. I use it for anything that you would want water for.
I'm
really.
writing this down.
Aquabot, yeah.
Aquabot. I haven't heard of it.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
that's probably my one little piece of equipment.
That you wouldn't want to be without.
And I really enjoy having my comforter. I bought a big comfy comforter from IKEA, which was a really good purchase. I mean, it was like $100 and some, but I've slept in below freezing weather with it and
That's
not
nice.
needed anything else. So
Yeah, you gotta stay
it's pretty
warm.
nice. Yeah.
What's a piece of advice you have for people considering van life?
A piece of advice.
Something you wish you knew before you embarked on your journey.
I don't know if it's something I wish I knew, but maybe do a test run before you go into it, because I think a lot of people just dive feet first into van life and not really knowing what they're getting into. I knew exactly what I was getting into because I had done all sorts. I mean, I lived in a 10 by 10 dorm room for I don't even know how many years, like 20 years or something. And I lived in a
Seasoned
warehouse
camper.
for a short time. I'm a seasoned camper. I've spent expensive times backpacking and camping. So I knew exactly what I was getting into more or less with the van life. But a lot of people don't. So yeah, I mean,
Do a test run.
there's everything looks better on Instagram and it looks better on YouTube, but you know, there's bees and horseflies and mosquitoes, and you know, when it's dumping rain on you and you're crammed into this little space, like, yeah, I mean, it's not always what you see.
Okay, or you're not
People
showing
always-
the bad stuff, probably.
I mean, everybody doesn't. I mean, I try to show it as much as I can.
Yeah.
But even me, like, I don't show everything that's terrible. So so just keep in mind, it's, you know, it's all about trade-offs, and for me the trade-offs of it are worth it, but they might not be for you. So don't sell everything you own without knowing for sure that it's gonna like work out for you.
Okay, that's good advice. Do you generally feel safe when you're traveling and camped? And because you don't always camp in established campgrounds, you do some
Yeah, dispersed
boondocking
camping.
and
Yeah, and I think this is a point that a lot of people have trouble with. Dispersed camping in most cases is quite a bit safer than camping in a campground.
really.
Yeah, because, you know, really your biggest worry is people. And if you got some drunken yahoos next to you in a campground and you tell them to be quiet and they get up in your face, you know, all of a sudden you're in can be a dangerous situation, and you're just probably not going to run into that dispersed camping because you can get out on your own. And as I always say, predators go where there's prey. And if the prey is super spread out, there's not going to be a lot of predators there.
True.
So I find dispersed camping quite a bit safer, and it's way safer than a city. Like, cities are your most dangerous. Cities are where there is the
Stuff
most
goes
danger.
down.
And I think people worry about animals so much. They really worry about like bears or, you know, whatever. Like, I think all said and done, there's about 2.5 deaths per year from bear attacks. And it's pretty much split down the middle between black bears and grizzly bears. And in the long run, that's almost nothing.
Right.
That's almost nothing. Like, be safe, carry bear spray if you're in bear country, but don't worry about bears. Don't worry about animals.
Worry about
worry
texting
about
and driving.
texting and driving, worry about, yeah, don't worry about animals. I would say the only animals you should probably worry about are like bees if you have an allergic reaction. It's nice to have something
What about
like
snakes?
Benadryl or something. Never a problem. Snakes don't really mess with you.
Yeah.
They really don't. Like, pretty much the only way you're going to get bit by a snake is if you step on it or you mess with it.
Okay.
So just try not to step on one.
Okay, good advice. Because you do some desert camping.
Yeah,
which-
I do quite a bit of desert
That's where the
camping.
rattlesnakes are.
But mostly in the winter, and they're not out that much in the winter. So
Okay. All right. Let's see. So generally, you have to be pretty frugal and careful with your money.
yes, I
Because
do.
you're working limited months of the year, which is envious. What's something you're willing to splurge on?
Something I'm willing to splurge on.
Yeah. Because you're generally careful, but you're like, nope, I'm paying for this and I want it.
For a good cheese. I'm not afraid to splurge every now and again. Like there's lots of food stuff that I like, and sometimes I'm willing to splurge on. Nice salami. I've even done a bottle of scotch here and there, like a $50 bottle of scotch.
But that should last you, hopefully.
But yeah,
a little bit.
Lasts a while. But yeah, I think those are, or eating. Sometimes I'll splurge eating out as well, or on a really nice beer. So yeah, almost always food related.
Okay. Because it's not showers. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, I don't splurge on showers. Like
Yeah.
I'll figure out another way around it. I'm not going to pay $12 at a Love's for a shower.
It's more expensive than I would have guessed.
That's disturbing. It's way too much money.
Which brings me to, what's the longest you've gone without a shower?
Longest I've gone without a shower. I don't know if I should admit this on camera. Probably about a week.
Oh, that's not bad.
So not that long. And I always try to dip in streams if I can and just swim. If you swim in a creek or swim in a lake, it kind of rinse off, and you can stretch it out a little bit between showers. But and when I say shower, I'm not talking about.
That's a loose term.
It's a loose term, like with the Aquabot, where I just I get wet all over, I soap all over, and I rinse off all over. But I'm doing it with about 32 ounces of water,
Right.
as opposed to 10 or 15 gallons as a standard shower.
Well, it's an environmentally friendly shower.
It is, I guess.
What tell us about an off the radar or an unsung place that you've enjoyed. I mean, obviously we're here in the Tetons. Everyone knows the Tetons are beautiful. What's a place we don't know about?
I really enjoyed Toadstool Geologic Park.
I'm writing this down.
It's in northwest Nebraska. It's in Nebraska, and it's a lot like Badlands National Park.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got these really cool rock formations too, like these sandstone formations, and plus it's got the prairie land, and it's really beautiful, really interesting, and there's hardly anybody out there. Toadstool Geologic Park is definitely worth checking out if you're traveling through Nebraska.
Right. It's not one I've heard of. Did you stumble on it, or did you head there as a destination?
Well, I saw it on the map, but because I oftentimes just look on the atlas for those little red boxes that are something interesting. And I saw Toadstool Geologic Park. It's like, I wonder what that is. And I looked it up on the internet. It's like, oh, well, that looks pretty sweet. So yeah, that was awesome. I would also recommend Palouse Falls State Park that's in Washington. It's in southeastern Washington. It's this huge waterfall, really beautiful. I just happened to hit it on free day, but
Nice.
you do have to pay to get into that one. But it's this huge canyon. That area of Washington is pretty interesting. It's like kind of these rolling hills, kind of grasslands, little barren, but really interesting, really beautiful.
Yes. Which do you prefer forest, desert? Do you like a little bit of everything, or was you always trying to get to a certain
Yeah,
style?
I love it all, but all said and done, I love mountains and trees,
Yes.
especially craggy, rocky mountains and trees. And there are many reasons for that, but I love being in trees, like aspens and pines especially.
Yes.
Those are the kind of what I've been really into. Jax is dragging his leash.
Come here, Jax.
So yeah, pines,
Forest.
forests,
Okay.
and mountains.
Yes.
Those are kind of my jam.
Okay. Just got a couple more. Do we have
Okay.
time?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Who would be your dream sponsor? Someone's going to come sponsor you on your channel. Do you have one in mind?
My dream sponsor.
Yeah. Like Yeti or North Face or Patagonia or... I'm a big Yeti fan, so I said that first.
Who would I want to be my sponsor? Honestly, it would probably be some sort of, I don't know. I have no idea. That is a good question.
You should
Let me
seek a sponsor.
think. Sponsor, maybe some sort of travel company or
Outdoor
or
research.
food.
You should think on this.
Yeah, I'll think on it. I don't have a good answer.
Okay.
I don't have a good answer. You know,
Someone should sponsor you.
I really love to travel and I really love to explore. So probably something along those lines more so than like products.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm all said and done. I am pretty cheap and I don't really spend money on Patagonia and
Right.
things like that. I'll wear Patagonia if I can find it at the thrift store.
Right. It'll last forever, so.
Hey, just a quick editor's note from the future. The question about sponsorship. After I had just a moment to think about it, I'm really not interested in having a sponsor. Like, I like producing exactly the channel that I have, and the channel that I want, and I don't want to like hawk products. Yeah, I don't want to be like hawking Citracal or something for like 2 minutes for each video I do. So I'm really not too interested in having a sponsor. I'd rather just keep it the way it is and figure it out that way.
Where are you headed next from here?
From here, I am headed back to the Tahoe region. I'm going to work there in the fall for a fall gig.
Beautiful.
And I have to drop Jax off in Albuquerque.
Nice. Let's see. What's an advantage of van life that you hadn't anticipated?
An advantage I hadn't anticipated. I think the biggest thing is that, especially with choosing a van as small as I did, the big advantage is I'm kind of forced outside. I'm definitely one of those homebodies that I tend to curl up on the couch and not do much, and
Watch some football.
yeah, or whatever. And I didn't really enjoy doing that. So it's nice having I don't really have a comfortable space to hang out inside, so I always have to be outside.
That's
And
nice.
it gets me out doing stuff. It gets me out hiking. I hike so much more now
Yeah.
than I did before. Although I've always loved hiking. I've always loved being outdoors. I just tend to curl up indoors. So it's awesome not having that indoor space
Right.
to kind of force myself into the life that I want to be living.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was totally I didn't really know I was getting into that. So
On the opposite, what's a disadvantage you hadn't anticipated?
that I hadn't anticipated. I think I'm not the type of person that gets lonely. So I really didn't think that was going to be an issue. And it hasn't been when I'm on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm locked into a job and locked into a place and there's not a lot of people to hang out with on the job, I've gotten pretty lonely. Like when I worked at Amazon, I got really lonely. When I worked at the ranch this last winter, I got really lonely. And I'm a loner by nature, so I really wasn't expecting to have that problem. And I don't when I'm on the road, but I do when I'm locked into a place. There's something about being tethered to a spot, and
Right.
it just it bums me out.
Okay. What do you have a bucket list destination? Not necessarily for van life, but in the world, somewhere you have not been yet that you want to go.
A bucket list destination. I love travel so much, and there's so many places I want to go. So it's hard to just say one.
One of them, then you don't have to commit to
One
one.
of them. I would really love to explore France more. I love the food, and I've been to France, but there's big portions of the country that I haven't been to. I've pretty much just been to Paris and Annecy, which is near the border with Switzerland. And I would love to really get back and dig into France. Not easy on a van dweller's budget.
Right.
You know, I end up in places like Thailand and Taiwan because they're really cheap, and probably Eastern Europe will be my next because it's also cheap.
Right.
But I would love to go back and dig into some of the European countries.
Would you buy a van in Europe and live the van life in Europe, or is it more of a backpacking
I think it's
hostel thing?
I think it's difficult to do. I think it's a lot harder to do there. There's so much less public land, so you're pretty much stealth camping everywhere you go. You're, like trying to hide from law enforcement, essentially. And also, with the exception of a few countries, like up in Scandinavia, you can pretty much camp anywhere.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it would be really hard to pull off. And also it's hard to buy a car as an American over there. I've actually looked into it.
Oh.
So it's actually very difficult to pull off. But it would be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to try.
Sure.
It would definitely be fun to do it in Scandinavia for a summer, try to live out of a van there. Up in Scotland, I think they have similar laws too.
Oh yeah.
So.
Nice. Okay, what do you have a few last words, a plug, something that you'd like to tell your followers, viewers?
A plug. Yeah, not really.
Subscribe. Tell your friends.
Subscribe, yeah. Tell your friends. The channel's growing, which is great. It's taking a little bit of a downward dive, now that I'm not really doing van videos anymore, and I'm more traveling around and just kind of filming my travels. But I guess my plea would be to keep watching those.
Yeah.
Watch my new videos. They're interesting too. They're not about van life, but they're about travel, which is part of van life.
It is. Yeah.
I think to me, it's the biggest part of van life. It's the most important part about van life, and it's not going to be for everybody, but just the chance. This is such an amazing country that we live in. America is incredible, and there's so much public land, and there's so many interesting places to explore. And I think people on their 2 weeks vacation tend to focus in on national parks and things like that, but there's so much more out there that's just as beautiful and just as amazing. The Wind River Range is not a national park. It's not a state park. It's nothing.
I'm like, don't tell anyone.
It's nothing, exactly. But it's my
Gorgeous.
favorite mountain range in the lower 48.
Yeah.
I think it's the most beautiful place in the lower 48, and it's nothing. And there's all these sorts of places like that. And so just
They're
having
not
the
crowded.
opportunity, having the opportunity to explore those places is what van life is really all about for me. And it might not be for you, but it might become. And yeah, so
Give it a try.
Give it a try.
Reach out to Toby with questions.
Yeah, feel free. I have my email linked in the description.
Love it. Well, thank you. This is interesting. I knew a little bit about your travels, but I've learned a lot more. So that was great. Thank you.
I would like to say one thing that
Sure.
people don't, like a story that people don't know.
Okay.
So my email address is Toby, the letter N transit, @gmail.com instead of Toby in transit. And the reason that it is because before I started the channel, about a year before, I had planned on starting the channel, and I created a Google account, Toby in transit.
Okay.
And I lost the account. I forgot the password. I forgot everything, and I couldn't. I couldn't get back to
locked out
that
of your
email.
own.
I was locked out of my own account, so I had to create a new. So it's Toby, the letter N transit, as is my Gmail.
Well, Google, if you're listening, maybe we can help Toby fix that problem.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Cool.
that's not a typo. The
Toby
Toby
in transit.
letter N transit. That's not a typo. That is my Gmail account. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Megan. That was
Yeah.
great.
That was great.
And do you have anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, anyone who comes to Jackson Hole should come to Jackson Hole Food and Wine Festival. It's our 3-day culinary festival twice a year. We do a winter fest in March and a summer festival in late June. And we support local organizations while expanding the culinary conversation. So
Awesome.
that's what I'm doing.
Okay,
Cool.
great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all the fun stuff. Bye.
Bye.